Thank you. We may be seated. Welcome, Honorable Mayors, to this special Munimec which we have convened today. May I extend a special welcome to our Premier, the Honorable Mr. Thamsanqa Ntuli, who is our guest of honor. May I also welcome Inkosi Shinga and all members of the executive who are here from the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders, Siyakhuleka emakhosini asendlunkulu akhona. May I acknowledge the Deputy Chairperson of Salga, who is also the Mayor of Uthukela District, Inkosi Shabalala, the Deputy Mayor of eThekwini, who is our host, Councillor Zandile Mieni. May I also acknowledge the delegation from Eskom, led by Ms. Zethu Sonjika, and also the Chief Director from the Department of Cogta nationally, Mr. V. Rabotata. This is a special meeting of the Munimec, where all our leaders in local government, who are the mayors and the municipal managers, but especially also the directors of the community services departments are here. We have convened today so that we can get a keynote address and guidance from our Premier on very important matters that are affecting the province. But before we begin, may I ensure that all our mayors do have the agenda in front of them, and request Ms. Rashni Harilal from Cogta to deliver the apologies, if there are any.
Honourable Premier, Honourable MSc Ntabazitha, Your Worship, the Mayors, all protocol observed. The apologies that we've received for today are the following. The Mayor of eThekwini, Councillor Kaba, Mayor of Harigwala, Councillor Ngomalo, the Mayor of Mdoni, Councillor MJ Pele Lutuli, the Mayor of Impendle, Councillor Mlaba, Mayor of Msunduzi, Councillor Trebola, the Mayor of Msinga, Councillor Sekane, the Mayor of Zululand, Councillor Kumalo, the Mayor of Nongoma, Councillor Ndabadaba, the Mayor of Big Five Shlabisa, Councillor Kumalo Ndwedwe, Councillor Mfeka, Mayor of Mapumulo, Councillor Kozwayo Dlamini, and the Mayor of Muziwabantu, Councillor Zungu. Those were the formal apologies that we've received. In terms of the municipal managers, we've received 4. The municipal manager, the acting municipal manager of Mzanduzi, local municipality, Ms. Ngobo, Nkambatini local municipality, Mr. Ngwengwe, Zululand district, Mr. Shlongwa, and Mapumulo, the acting MM, Mr. Kulusu. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Thank you very much, Ms. Harilal. Honorable Mayors, may I, at this point, request us to respectfully request our Honorable Premier, Mr. Thamsanqa Ntuli, to come forward to deliver the keynote address.
Thank you, Honorable MSc, Reverend Ebthelezi, who's our Program Director, and also the MEC for Kokta in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Inkosi Ndabezitha, Inkosi Ushinga, who's the chairperson of the House of the Traditional Leaders and the KZN in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, together with the executive of the House, Ndabezitha Makosendlu Nkulu, who are present today. Ngiyakhuleka kunina Makosa Sendlu Nkulu. Abatwana basendlu Nkulu who are present, though I might have not in fact recognized all of them, but I do see Mtwana, His Worship the Mayor of Amajuba Ndabezitha, and all the prince who are present and the princesses who are present. I humbly acknowledge you. The Honorable Deputy Mayor of the eThekwini Metro, Honorable Councillor Mieni, who's the host, Your Worship, the district mayors present here today, together with all our worship, the mayors of the local municipalities, there is a representative of Kokta. I wish to apologize in Ndabezitha. I don't know Shane because angazi inkosi ngcono ngamane kuhlale mina ngapha ngoba isiko alizivumeli ukuba siflathele inkosi. Ndabezitha. Ngakhule impela ukuthi akuhle lokho ukuthi inkosi ihlale ngapha. Ngamane kushintshe mina ngcono ngihlale ngapha. Thank you very much. I know that in our culture, we are not in fact supposed to look on the other side and inkosi be behind us. In our culture, some of the fundamentals that we need to. Inkosi Yesizwe Sakashabalala, who's the deputy chairperson of SALGA in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I did not capture quite vividly the surname, of the National Caucus representative who is here to support this meeting. The municipal managers present here today, because I also am also a resident of Nkandla. I also saw my municipal manager, Ms. Lamini, here. Senior managers present here today. I know that, Honorable MEC, there are also other members of SALCA Executive Committee who are present here, whom I'm able to identify. I wish to also acknowledge you, though I will be not doing it one by one. I heard that there are representatives from ESCOM who are present to do a deputation today. I also wish to acknowledge them, though I couldn't also capture the specific name. Members of the media are present today. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to first and foremost thank you for responding to this quite special and urgent invitation, which has been actually prepared by the Office of the Caucus in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. This meeting of the special MUNIMEC has brought together the broadest leadership of our municipalities under one roof on an urgent basis to address the unfolding food poisoning crisis in our country and in our province. We thank the Honorable MEC for Caucus, Honorable Reverend Chelezi, for coordinating this meeting in order to provide an opportunity to detail our response at the local government level. Your Worship, as we are all aware, over the past 2 years, spaza shops have drawn the attention of the country as we experience a rising cases of foodborne illness. So far, reports indicate that these illnesses are linked to poor food safety mechanism in township, tuck shops, and rural communities, while others, and also in rural communities, while others are attributed to suspected poor hygiene and poor handling practices. Learners are the most affected. Children are the most affected, with some of them even dying and others being admitted in hospital. The majority have fallen sick in groups after consuming products from the same vendor, creating a link between spaza shops and this food poisoning crisis. Concerns have also been raised regarding the packaging of food. Across the country, by October 2024, over 200 children have reportedly fallen sick after eating suspected contaminated food and snacks. And 17 children have tragically lost their lives. Even here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, were a victim. National government is treating this issue as a national security threat, with the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure now leading the response. This past Wednesday, Minister in the Presidency, Kumbuzo Ntshabeni, announced that His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa will soon address the nation on the rising incidence of suspected food poisoning in the country. The Department of Health has already activated the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, the NICD, to trace and examine the sources of the poisoned foodstuffs and make recommendations. Your Worship, as indicated in our statement to the media on Thursday, the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Government Executive Council was sent to receive a report concerning an incident of a suspected food poisoning in the Kambana area in Umzumbe, Ugu district, where the 3 children passed away and their grandmother was hospitalized. Even though post-mortem results are yet to confirm an actual cause of death, it is alleged that the victims fell ill and passed away due to food poisoning. The 3 victims were children aged 2, the other one aged 6, and the other one aged 11 years old. Even the dog that ate the same food also died. We have then called this meeting today to engage our program to localize the actions championed by the national government under the Department of Culture in order to prevent this scourge from spreading in KwaZulu-Natal. On the 4th of November, the standard draft bylaws for township economies were gazetted by the Minister of Culture, Honorable Velenkosini Eshabis. I think the rest of culture nationally will unpack the gazette, which we believe all municipalities will adopt. The primary objective of these bylaws is to boost township economies by creating a supportive environment for small businesses, focusing on economic inclusion, job creation, and empowering local communities. The program also aims to mobilize municipalities around a common agenda, with collective responses towards inclusive local economies and curbing illegal business operations in townships. In the medium to long term, there will be continuous monitoring, starting with organized multi-sectoral teams targeting districts and engaging brand owners, even the communities, to upscale monitoring capacity. Today's meeting is a crucial step in aligning our efforts with the national regulations and addressing pressing health concerns in KwaZulu-Natal. A comprehensive strategy to address these crises is quite very important. And in our view, amongst the things which we think should be Bondabezita Makosel prioritized. In fact, before I continue, I should have reported to Amakos a decision which is public, because if it has to do with the public money, it's a public information. That as Cabinet, we have taken a decision to make the ESCO of the House of the Regional Leaders and the cosign in KwaZulu-Natal permanent. It has then the financial bearings. It is our decision. I know that your MEC, when he's communicating, will say, it's my decision, it's our decision, it's my decision, in fact. It's not his decision. ngathi makufika ushe ngahlatshwa inkukhu ngihambe mina lokungiphakela ubhontshisi kuphela. It wasn't an easy decision though, but a very strategic one. We'll continue to engage even other areas. I know I had a meeting with Amakos before I got into this office, and I know all the messages that Amakos gave to me, one by one will be addressed, but at the right time, in a responsible manner. I know how Amakos are important. In fact, Umtwana Pindangane taught me the importance of Amakos. There is even a decision we took, which I will not then announce here, which is a very sensitive decision, but we had to take that decision on behalf of Indlu Yobkos. It's a very important and a progressive step, and all matters that pertains is Indlu's Yobkos. They are going to be given a priority. In fact, I've instructed the oral MEC, Reverend Tellez, to bring all the cases together, because I want to finalize all the cases which are before my office, so that I make a determination going forward. So I'm making that commitment, Makwase Ndlunkulu, that Ushenge knows that I've requested him to put together all cases, so that in the next cabinet, I will be able to make a determination on the way forward. Amongst, in fact, strategies that we need to consider is education and training for spaza shop owners and staff on food and safety practices, including proper food handling, storage, and cooking techniques. Regular inspections is another strategy by local health authorities to ensure compliance with food safety regulations. I know that the district municipalities, they have the environmental health as practitioners. They are not enough. That's another argument for another day. But what we have, we must use it to try and mitigate the tragedy we might find ourselves in. I know that our approach, since this is multi-sectoral, in fact, that will beef up what we have as government. And the other one is access to resources. Oh no, before I go to that one, the community awareness campaigns to educate customers about food safety, signs of spoilage, and how to report unsafe practices. I will also talk about them as I proceed. Access to resources such as hand washing stations, refrigeration units, and safe food storage solutions to enhance food safety in spaza shops. Also partnership with NGOs to promote best practices and provide support to spaza shops, particularly in underserved areas. As the provincial government, we will continue to conduct unannounced operations against illegal foreigners operating spaza shops to check the quality of the goods they sell. In fact, I must be explicit that all undocumented or illegal foreigners in our province, they must go back to their homes. And part of this campaign must be to address that. Because you will be with the police. They know what to do when they discover an undocumented foreign national. Already, you won't believe that in only 2, if not 3 operations I've led, the other one was led by His Worship the Mayor of Umsunduzi. I want to believe that also His Worship, the Mayor of Umgungundlovu, was part of that operation. The first operation here in Durban, we discovered almost 115 undocumented foreign nationals in just one building. In Pietermaritzburg, the operation discovered more than that. I can't remember the number, Msholozi. Okay, 60. And another operation, we discovered also others. You see, I think they might, in the near future, outnumber the number of the people of KwaZulu-Natal, if we are not careful. We wish to reiterate that we will not allow illegal operations and spaza shops to jeopardize the lives of our people in KwaZulu-Natal. We will never. It is said that the future of a country lies in its youth and children, who are among the most vulnerable in our society, and therefore must be protected by the state. As part of our larger strategy, we will be closely monitoring our borders or our border management, ensuring that the security is strengthened at all borders to deal with illegal immigrants and undocumented foreign nationals entering the country. Goods and services entering this province from other countries will be carefully monitored, checked, and inspected to prevent the infiltration of illicit goods. Just a few weeks ago, during an operation in some foreign-owned spaza shops in the Durban CBD, we found a box of a cigarette with a barcode of a jacket. When you check it with the equipment they use, the police use, it shows that this is not a cigarette, it is a jacket. A clear indication of the deceptive practices some vendors use to bypass regulations. Another phenomenon that requires attention is that some foreign nationals actually sleep, bathe, and even conduct all personal activities within the same spaza shops where food items are sold. Some babies are made inside. Such practices raise serious hygiene concerns and increase the risk of contamination. Additionally to that, negligent use of pest control chemicals in these shops often lead to contamination of food items. Though there is still a further investigation, but there are suggestions that this at times is not deliberately planned, but the use of some pesticides has this kind of a negative effect, especially in the lives of the young ones. Expired goods are also a major problem, as some spaza shop owners tamper with expiry dates to make them appear as though they are still within the safe consumption period. They tamper with the expiry dates. It has come also to our attention that several industries in our province are prioritizing the hiring of illegal foreigners over thousands of unemployed but capable locals. This practice not only violates labor laws, but also exploits disparate undocumented foreign nationals because they pay them far below the minimum wage. During a recent operation in Mandeni area, KwaSithebe, Some firms had to shut their doors when I came there with the police and the Home Affairs and other departments, because they knew that over 90% of their employees were illegal and undocumented foreign nationals. We will conduct further unannounced inspections in these areas to ensure compliance with labor laws and prevent such exploitation. I'm quite aware that some of the products, they're even manufactured illegally. I have information in my office, and I will be visiting those who are producing the illegal products unannounced. I have information. In fact, I've taken a decision that I'm going to establish a team that is going to investigate the extent of this employment of undocumented foreign nationals in KwaZulu-Natal. Because I want to know the number per business or per factory or per industry. And I want to know where that industry is, so that we'll agree on a large scale attempt to try to visit those businesses. In fact, at KwaZulu, the owner was arrested by the police on the day because it is illegal to employ undocumented foreign nationals. Even just to employ foreign nationals, you see, when you have people not on scarce skills, you can't employ a foreign national to sweep, to clean. When you have so many people here in our country, in our province, who can do that, who are unemployed, we cannot allow that in this province. Makhosi Sendlunkulu, Honorable MEC, Reverend Telezi, Your Worship, the mayors, the municipal managers, and all senior managers, I wish to urge all districts and local mayors to intensify their collaboration with SAPS, private security companies, neighborhood watch forums, and community policing forums to combat illegal activities in our communities. Your Worship, in partnership with SAPS, you must conduct regular operations in spaza shops and other parts of your municipalities. In areas lacking crime-fighting forums, I wish to appeal to Your Worship and to the House of the traditional leaders and the consign that we should take a bold step now to establish and revitalize these structures. In fact, the issue of crime is no longer the police-only issue. But the issue of crime is a societal problem because we are all affected. You cannot sit back being a leader and complain that police are not doing something, whereas you have a role and a responsibility as a leader of the society to ensure that something is being done and to cooperate by even giving information that in this area, in our area, we know ukuthi obani abanebhamu la. We know ukuthi obani abadayisa idakamizwa la. Give that information to the police so that the police will actually do something about it. I know that some will complain that police at times, they are also involved. But General Thamsanqa, the Provincial Commissioner, the Lieutenant General Thamsanqa, is doing a wonderful job with his men and women of the blue to address the issue of crime. There is one thing we must commend, that in KwaZulu-Natal, we have police who are showing a commitment of a very high level. Even in National Parliament, there was a debate about crime, And the mention of KwaZulu-Natal was 3 times, even by the Deputy President, even by the Deputy President of the Republic was mentioning KwaZulu-Natal, that why other provinces are not doing as KwaZulu-Natal is doing. But we still have a role. If you want to make the criminals to fear the law or the police, we all need to stand up and stand together to ensure that we say not in our society. You see, maybe in the past the role of the worship the mayors was different from what is today, because the challenges of that time were not similar to the challenges of today. And there is no area wherein as a leader of the society you will say, this is the work of the province, this is the work of national government. If you think so, or if you have that mentality, just wait for your term. After 5 years, people will demonstrate that we saw you as our leader, but we lived with problems. Now we want a different person to solve the problems, because you could not solve the problems. So that is the kind of an ultimate responsibility now which has been presented to us by the circumstances that the society is actually faced with in our municipalities. As I'm requesting that, let us prioritize the fight against crime. Invite me. On the other hand, I think you know, or CAP, you know that I'm also an MEC of Community Safety and Licensing. So you must also invite me when you have operations to say, is it possible that you join us? You see, that one will profile your operation, will even profile your area or your municipality, and the work that you do there will be profiled. So it's important that you also invite me as the MEC for Community Safety and Licensing, not as the Premier, to say, can you please join us here? We have a mega operation, which in our view, if you can participate, really it will do a difference. The operation which we are actually talking about, I want to be explicit so that no one will hear me in a different way. The operation I'm actually talking about is not an anti-foreigner campaign, but a proactive measure by the government to prevent the situation from escalating into vigilantism. By addressing these issues now, we can prevent frustrations and resentment within local communities and avoid potential confrontations with illegal foreigners. Our proactive stance is intended to maintain order, safeguard public health, and protect the rights of all residents. In conclusion, Shenge, Makosen Dlunkulu, I wish to thank you, Shenge, and all present today for recognizing the agents of this situation and committing to work together for the safety and well-being of our communities. Today's MUNIMEC meeting, while extraordinary, is a critical step in our joint efforts to address the food poisoning crisis and related challenges. I'm confident that by the end of this meeting, we will have an actionable program that prioritizes the health, safety, and the future of KwaZulu-Natal residents. Let us work together for the sake of rebuilding KwaZulu-Natal, reconstructing the life of the people living in KwaZulu-Natal, ensuring that we work to present a better future and a prosperous future to our children. Because most of the things we do today, we may be not direct beneficiaries, but our children, in fact, will benefit from what we do today. When we act responsible as leaders, having in our minds our children and the future of our children, the prosperity of this province will be certain. Let us move forward with a unified approach to protect our province and especially the future of our children. Ngithokoza kakhulu Shenge for the opportunity. Makhosi Ndlunkulu, Your Worship, the mayors, the municipal managers and senior managers. In fact, to listen to my long, boring presentation. Thank you very much.
May we give the Premier a round of applause, colleagues. Thank you very much, Honorable Premier, who is also the MEC for Community Safety. Thank you very much, Dunankulu, because colleagues, Makhosi Ndlunkulu, the Premier has set the tone and has given us the marching orders. Therefore, how we are going to frame our discussion, because at the end of the discussion, the Premier again will just give us the closing remarks. But how we are going to frame our discussion is that we will also allow Amakhosi to be part of the discussion. So I would request when we open the floor, Amakhosi to feel free, together with our leaders, the mayors who are here, to contribute to the discussion. Let us also, Honorable Premier, welcome two brand new mayors who are part of the meeting today. The brand new mayor out of the box of King Echwayo district, Honorable Dlamini, who is with us. Welcome, Honorable Mayor Malandela. Can we just say Malandela, the mayor of King Echwayo, is his first Munimec as the mayor. And also the mayor of Upongolo, Councillor Twala, who is with us, his first Munimec as the mayor. Welcome, leaders. So how we will drive the discussion, Honorable Mayors, is that we will allow the Chief Director from the Department of COGTA, Mr. Vincent Rabotata, the Chief Director of Development Planning, to then unveil the bylaws which the Premier spoke about. And then immediately after that, we get into the discussion. The Premier spoke about a comprehensive program of action strategies. How do we emerge out of this meeting with a comprehensive program of action that deals with inspection and monitoring, that deals with food safety, that deals with a particular focus on spaza shops, that deals with the collaboration which this Premier spoke about between SAPS, Home Affairs, Community Policing Forum, all the sectors. How do we emerge with a comprehensive program of action that deals with the township and rural economy? And in all of this, we cannot delink it from crime prevention. So those are the major themes from the Honorable Premier's address. When we open the floor, colleagues, let us then emerge our discussion around those themes. But let me allow Mr. Rabotata to then present the bylaws, and immediately after that, we will move to the discussion so that after the discussion we can emerge with a comprehensive program of action. Over to you, Chief Director. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for the opportunity. Let me on the onset recognize the Honorable Premier, our mayors who are present here, Abundabezita, Amakosuetu, Honorable MECs, the leadership of SALGA, Municipal Managers present here, and all senior officials and colleagues. Let me stand on the established protocol. Program Director, we are grateful for the opportunity to come and address the political munmek in the province of KwaZulu-Natal at this critical time where children throughout the country are dying of poisonous substances. Our presentation will reflect on a number of things. The first thing that we thought we should reflect on is what informs the intervention that we are talking about today. The standard draft bylaws. And why are we implementing it today? Partly to respond to the crisis that the country is faced with. We will also briefly reflect on some of the problems that we observe in townships and villages, insofar as unregulated business activity that is taking place there. Fourthly, we want to give a sense of what type of business activities are taking place in the spaces that we are talking about today. So there are about 150,000 business activities that are taking place in the sector of the fast-moving consumer goods. And of this 150, 20,000 or so are in this province. I will later on reflect on what is happening. Fourthly, Program Director, we will share with the meeting the overall purpose and objectives of the standard draft bylaws that we will be intensifying its implementation. We also reflect on some of the key features or elements or provisions or sections that live in the standard draft bylaw that was promulgated by our minister. We will also set out a process that we think municipalities must embark on as they effectuate, as they implement this critical piece of legislation. We will also outline the roles and responsibilities, starting at a national level, what national government should be doing and must do, what the role of provinces and the various sector departments in provinces should be, and what those departments ought to be doing. And we'll also touch on what is it that we need to do to ensure that there is adequate enforcement of the bylaws across the country, so as to prevent the challenges that we see today. And we will conclude our input by reflecting on what we refer to as a 10-point strategy that we think all of us should adopt to address the current challenge that we are faced with. Now, the conversation about the development of the standard draft bylaws was triggered by a discussion between the Ministry of Home Affairs and traditional leaders. And in that meeting, traditional leaders raised a number of concerns. At the core of their concern was that rural communities are being excluded from participating in local and rural economies. And out of that conversation, a resolution was made that the Department of Home Affairs must engage with the with the Ministry of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, which subsequently led to a decision that our ministry should lead a process towards developing a standard draft bylaw in terms of the provisions that are set out in the Municipal Systems Act. But the other point that informed the work that we undertook was observations that we continued to make in respect of what is happening in our townships. So township economies are generally excluded from the mainstream economies, particularly in our major cities and our secondary cities. And the business activity or activities that take place in townships tend to be survivalist in nature, and the majority of which are in the food economy. And this is where we are starting to observe some of the problems that we are seeing. An unregulated food economy that we do not monitor on a regular basis in terms of its compliance with the health safety standards. So, Program Director, our presentation is essentially to provide an overview of the standard draft bylaw, which we generally refer to as the SDB, to support township economies, but this does not mean that rural economies are excluded. But secondly, we wanted to reflect on how this intervention, the SDB intervention, would assist municipalities with curbing spaza shop food poisoning incidences. It has to be stopped. So this is the process that we followed as the department towards the development of the standard bylaw. I've already indicated that it was triggered by a discussion between the Minister of Home Affairs and our traditional leaders. Then there was a discussion between the Minister of Home Affairs and the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, which led to a process commencing in December 2023. We then produced a draft standard draft bylaw, which was consulted with all the Director Generals in the economic cluster. It was also consulted with all the DGs in the JCPS cluster, and also consulted with the South African Local Government Association. But most importantly, it was consulted with HODs responsible for local government in all the provinces. We also went to technical MINMEC and presented this draft standard bylaws in February and March, and it was approved. And we received in March 2024 certification from the state law advisors to publish this standard draft bylaw in a gazette and invite comments. And ultimately, the SBD was gazetted for public comment, was approved by the minister responsible for cooperative governance and traditional affairs. In this slide, Program Director, we reflect on some of the problem statement, and I've already highlighted the challenges that we have observed. Just to indicate that our small businesses, challenges with regard to small businesses in the country are well documented. It's limited access to finance, market access, information, infrastructure, and skills. And this should be addressed through a collaborative approach that brings in all of government, all of society, to ensure that indeed the small business sector in our country thrives. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the problem statement, as I've already indicated, the problems that we are trying to solve through these bylaws. But I thought I should spend a little bit of time on this particular slide. Where are these activities that we are talking about today? You would see on the slide that there are about 150,000 businesses, formal or informal, that can be categorized as fast-moving consumer, operating within the fast-moving consumer sector. And I don't have a pointer with me, but if you zoom into what is happening in KwaZulu-Natal, you will see there that there are about 20,000 of these businesses. And these are the businesses that, by and large, are in the food economy. And because they are in the food economy, stringent health protocols must be followed. And for these protocols to be followed adequately, there must be adequate capacity to do that. So the environmental health function was devolved to district, to local government almost 2 decades ago, if not 3. The implication of that was all municipalities had to build requisite capacity to undertake this function. Now, fast forward today, we are faced with a massive problem of food poisoning. And the research indicates that there is a substance that is being used called organophosphate, which is primarily used in agriculture, but also used as a pesticide to kill rodents or rats. And what is the major cause of these rats that are beginning to infest our environment? An argument is made that is because of unattended waste. So there's a problem with waste removal. So that is the source of a problem. Then people go out and buy this illegal substance and they fumigate, where they sell Zimba chips and all these kinds of things. And kids go and buy these things. And then they get sick in groups, and unfortunately some of them die. So the root cause, it would appear that it has to do with one of the critical functions that local government must undertake, and it's not undertaking it effectively. And therefore, our environments tend to be infested with this threat. So I'm keeping this slide here that as we deliberate, we must start thinking about what are those things that we should be doing to improve the capacity of our municipalities to undertake this particular function effectively. In this slide, we wanted to depict the kind of information that we are beginning to build in understanding what is happening in townships, particularly the kind of operations that are taking place. We just cite in the slide in terms of what is happening in one of the biggest townships in Gauteng province, Mamelodi, that of the 2,447 SMEs, almost 737 of them are spaza shops. So it's quite a sizable number of spaza shops that exist in this particular township. And in terms of the protocol, at least environmental health inspector should visit a spaza shop in a particular area at least once a month. So you begin to ask yourself how many environmental health inspectors would be adequate to undertake this mammoth task. Coming to the intervention that we want all municipalities to implement, which is the standard draft bylaw. This bylaw, essentially, program director, was designed to provide a standard framework to enable all municipalities in the country to develop bylaws that promote township economic development. We know that bylaws do exist in municipalities, but when you read this bylaw against those bylaws that you have, you may very well identify gaps which must then be addressed by incorporating some of the key features of this bylaw. But the bylaw seeks to achieve a number of objectives. One, facilitate inclusive spatial economic development. In other words, design a process that will seek to integrate township economies with the mainstream economies in that particular town, in that particular city. Secondly, harmonize the township economic systems. So each township has got its own economic system. Raise awareness about applicable laws, support small businesses to grow and participate in the mainstream economy. The next two slides are going to focus on what actually lives in the bylaw. So the section 1 on definition, and here we are talking about the selling of illegal goods. And it sets out all the things that should not be done. Firstly, goods which may not have been lawfully acquired and disposed of. And this is the point that the Premier spoke about earlier. Goods that are prohibited from sale or distribution under applicable national, provincial, and municipal law. Section 3 deals with freedom to engage in business activities. Any person without a license should not operate a business. is as clear as that. Municipalities may determine quotas on the proportion of businesses within a specific category that should be owned and operated by foreigners who have got business licenses. And these quotas must be determined in terms of what is provided for in the Business Act. Section 5 deals with the issuing of businesses. Section 7 deals with registration and permitting of business activities. Section 9 deals with prohibition and restrictions. Section 12 deals with offenses and penalties for transgressions. Section 13 deals with informal enforcement. All municipalities are encouraged to adapt and adopt this standard draft bylaw in councils. And once they are adopted and in line with the provision of the Municipal Systems Act, they must be published in a government gazette. This slide sets out the roles and responsibilities. As I indicated earlier, COCTA was given the responsibility to develop the SDB, and that has been done. It has been gazetted. Provincial COCTAs and economic development departments should align provincial legislation with the national legislative framework, but most importantly, provide support to municipality and monitor the implementation of these prescripts, and also embark on awareness campaigns. Responsibilities of municipalities are also set out, implement and enforce the bylaws, issue trading licenses, health and food safety certificates only to qualifying businesses. Environmental health practitioners and law enforcement must conduct regular inspections in these businesses. I want to move. I'm told that my time has run out, but I don't know what's happening with this now. But the point that I want, the slide that I wanted to go to is the 10-point plan that we are putting forward that must be implemented throughout the country. So the first point that we're making is that there must be education and training. Secondly, there must be regular inspections. Thirdly, there must be community awareness campaign. Communities to become vigilant, to understand the dangers of consuming goods that were acquired illegally. Fourthly, it's about access to resources, and this is the point that the Premier indicated earlier. We must continue to collaborate with NGOs and form meaningful partnerships to address this problem. We must establish traceability systems. We must encourage safe sourcing of goods, advocate for spaza shops to source food from reputable suppliers and farmers, promote safe food precautions, and lastly, government must advocate for policies that support small businesses in meeting food safety standards and accessing training resources. And as we conclude our presentation, Chair, we want to recommend to the KwaZulu-Natal MUNIMEC to note the work that the Ministry of Cooperative and Governance has been doing in terms of the development of the standard draft bylaws for township economies, which was published on 7 November 2024. And for all the stakeholders to note the various responsibilities that were set out in this presentation as we fight the challenge with regard to spaza shops that are operating illegally, that are not complying with environmental health standards. And lastly, just to make the point that indeed the net joints has been activated and is going to be guiding the work on how we deal with food poisoning throughout the country. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rabotata, for that presentation, which was building on the keynote address by our Premier. This presentation has been emailed to all municipalities so that we do have a copy. May I, Honorable Premier, open the floor to our mayors and Amakosi so that we can get the input from local government on these important issues which the Premier has raised. I will see with the indication by a show of hands.